All right, let's do it live on a OTA reporting Tuesday edition. It is a Tuesday. I am merely Bo. That's the great Z. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Stu. Doing very, very well. Happy to be here. 13 days before big changes are coming my way.
Big changes,
days.
buddy. Well, you've lived these changes before. You know it's coming.
I have, but
not
at this point. I was a much younger man. It's
going to be a shot in the arm. Going to be a shot in the arm.
Good Memorial Day
Where's your head with
Fun.
this? It's weird. I all morning I couldn't figure out what day it was.
Yeah, it's strange. It felt like, and yesterday, I don't know how, like in Chagrin, it's Sundays like Memorial Day.
Okay.
Like the parade is on Sunday.
Okay,
everybody's big parties are on Sunday, and then Monday's like a recovery day, which is actually a nice way to do it.
Smart way to do it.
But then it doesn't feel like you don't even know what day it is.
That's my beef. And I think combining that experience with the weather, which has just been inclement and cool and not what you normally get this time of year, that it feels like fantastic. It feels just weird to me. It doesn't feel like this is June.
Here's the other thing that feels weird. I don't know about you. I know that Bootsy was sick. Has anybody else gotten sick in your home?
No, but the allergy, I think, thing is, I don't know if it's allergy or sick or whatever, but like there's a lot of that going around.
Dude,
my nieces were both sick over the weekend.
Everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of just like, not like flu, but just like congested,
cold,
like
yes.
cold. Yeah, that's going around.
Dude.
So that's everywhere.
It's almost June. Come on.
It's enough.
It's enough. No time for sickness.
We've done our time.
No time for sickness. So one quick little story. So Sunday was the Brilo, which produced one of the great golf moments
one of the great moments
life.
of all time. Yeah, and this is still at Sleepy Hollow.
Still at Sleepy Hollow.
In Brecksville, yep.
I actually pulled up for next year's Masters. Is probably when I'll wear it. I actually got a very cool thing from Sleepy Hollow that's like
nice.
You'll see it. You'll see it next year.
I've talked to
I might wear it before, but
my wife grew up in Brecksville, and it's really remarkable to me. I mean, it's really cool that course is a public course because it really very easily could be a private course pretty easily. The layout, there's no real houses on it. I mean, it's beautiful. It feels like a private course.
They need a little injection of cash.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but it's a public track, and it gets a ton of play.
Yeah.
But the layout and just
good.
the location, it very easily could be a private course.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It was a ton of fun. We so the year that produced where I had the walk-off eagle in the playoff, so we teed off early, and then this year, I had the kids. We had, her, I guess our niece was in town.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of. Unfortunately, we tee off at like 10:30, and if it's a 6-hour or 5-hour round, it's
the whole day.
Yeah, so it's not looked upon favorably, although it's a tremendous event. My Brilo, if you're listening, next year, let's just move it to Saturday.
There you go.
Nobody does anything on Saturday. Sunday is a family day in the holiday
I like it.
world. Let's move
like
it to Saturday, and then we can take all the time we want. Nobody will have any issues with it. So that's my proposal number one. Or let's tee off at 8 a.m.
Or would potentially a Friday night.
You could do a Friday evening round. I think,
or
like
an
4 afternoon.
3:30, 4 o'clock tea times.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty fun.
Into the holiday weekend, and then
weekend.
you have a good time Friday night,
Yes.
and then it's
Brilo, one of the two.
Yeah.
Friday
You're welcome.
evening
We're
or
here to help.
Saturday. That's why we're the czars.
Yeah,
That's
sports czars. I like it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we were out there. I got this new putting thing. I don't know if it hits you on Instagram all the time. I don't know how much you
putting thing.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's like Y golf. It's this putting. It's like a track, and they have these gates. And if you don't hit the putt exactly where you're trying to hit it, it hits one of the gates, and so it gets you to groove your stroke. Needless to say, I was out there draining putts, and I sold 3 of them on the course that day. I should be a spokesperson for this company because I'm going to be selling a lot of those things.
So, is it something you physically lay down to practice?
So you lay it down. Here, I'll show you.
So you go to the practice green.
I do it in my. I just
house?
do it in my house.
Yeah,
because it's really just grooving your.
What's it called?
It's the putting thing. Y Golf is the company. Here you go. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, I see it.
Here it is. So you have to hit the putt.
Oh,
dead
I see.
Straight, or it won't go through those gates at the beginning. So it tells you if your stroke is inside to out, if you're pushing your putts, if you're pulling your putts. You can only hit it good if you hit it dead straight. And so it gets to the point where if you can groove your stroke to do that, guess what? On the course, all you have to do is get the line right,
and you're
going to hit it there.
Yeah,
you're going to at least hit it
really
where you
cool.
want. So
I like that.
The kids would love it because they could sit there all day with it, and if they can start hitting it through when it's on number 4 at the front, like it's kind of like that AccuRim concept that my dad used to have me shoot on.
Oh yeah, right.
Like only a pure swish would go in.
Goes through. Those things were cool.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, with where you have the little ring inside the ring, and then it would. Yeah, that's nice.
So anyway, it's a tremendous thing. I loved it. So we go out there and we're playing. We start off. We're red hot, baby. Number 1.
Let's go.
I made it a natural eagle. So we eagle 1, make a big par save on 2. We birdie 3. We're 400 through 4. We're feeling good. It's our best start ever. Or 400 through 4. We birdie 3 and birdie 4. So we're feeling really good. Then we kind of like getting this. We're struggling. It was not our best team performance. We've been better than this in the past. Needless to say, we go on. We end up at 8 under, and we had like 3 holes left where we knew like we got to get to 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. So we end up at 8. We end up in a tie with Brylo's team, actually. Okay. But as I mentioned before, I had a bunch of pressures on me. Our B player, it's an A, B, C, and a D player.
Yep.
Our B player had a bunch of pressure, so we like finish and we're gone.
Yep.
So the great Bowens, who is our C player, ends up having to play in the playoff. And we asked for, hey, why don't we just do C player versus C player? You know, apples to them. They're like, well, yeah, your team left, so that's on them.
There's no.
Valid. So Bowens had to play their top guy, and the first hole's a very reachable par 5. Like I hit driver 8 iron and made the putt for eagle.
Yeah.
So it's a very reachable par 5, and their guy was in the bunker in 2. I guess hit it to like 3 feet. And Bowens, to his credit, actually hit a couple of good shots, but was at best going to make par, and so he ended up losing. But it could have been for Bowens. I told him, I said, if you win this will be your golfing immortality. That's the 1980
U.S. Olympic team.
Yeah, like if he
did it, yes, if he won it, and then he brought home the championship. Yeah, I mean that's his moment. That's a big moment.
I'll give the player who won it a lot of credit because he's in a lose-lose situation. Like,
there's no win for him.
Winning is still winning, but like it is so expected. Yeah. That a loss would be catastrophic. So
you'd never live down the loss.
No, so I give him a lot of credit because they hit a bunker shot to gimme range. When you're in the bunker now, you're thinking, oh my God, I could fat it and leave it in here. I could skull it and I could be 80 yards over the green, and all of a sudden Bowen steals this thing. Like, I give a lot of respect to that execution in that moment.
Where do we feel about the idea of you guys left and it's A versus C? Would the right thing have done?
It's on
you.
us.
Okay,
it's on us.
Right.
It is.
I feel like the sporty thing to do would
have been C because that would have been pretty fun. Because when would they ever get to play in like a one?
To me, I would have gone
CC
like on that.
Yeah, I would have gone CC.
Yeah, I think we just fixed the Brylo.
Yeah,
and not that it needs a lot of fixing. Just a couple little movements here.
Just
I think you would
change the day. Saturday, I got carte blanche. Maybe I could be there until 7 o'clock at night. I would have been there.
I think Friday night's pretty money.
Friday night would be a lot of fun.
Because then you get a nice meal, you have and then
maybe a cocktail, a cookout or something at the end of it, a trophy ceremony on the Friday night.
Let me ask you this: does this putting thing? Does this solve? So we had a 9-hole match, Bootsy and I versus Beamsy and NBC as is customary, and we won pretty handily. NBC's having a tough time on his seconds; they're going all over the place. It's good drives, but his second shots are crazy, and so. But what I'm curious if this thing will solve is Bootsy, for the life of him, cannot figure out the pace of a green.
It's not going to help him with pace.
My guy, I'm like, all right, buddy, I just need you to get this sort of close. Just give me something sort of close. And I'm like, I want you to watch how far back I pull my club back. And I want you to think about that, and then you do that. So
tell him
they were rolling fast. So he would just boom, and I go, half that, next hole, half it again, next hole, half. Finally, I was like, buddy, however hard you think you need to hit this ball, I want you to hit it a 10th of that hard. A 10th, and he would still blow him past.
So what'll help him is it's going to make him hit a lot of putts, and then eventually he's going to be able to hit it through the gate, and then he'll be able to see the distance.
Yeah, he actually played pretty well.
So I set up, we actually have this teak end table.
I like that.
That has like a little kind of, the table's kind of like this. It's like, natural wood, but it has this little like opening right here that's basically the size of a golf hole.
Yeah.
And so I set this thing up so that if I hit it pure, it goes right into this little nest here.
Nice.
And so that's how I know that I've got it, and then boom. And then so that's how I'm putting. And then I can move it, closer, so I'm practicing different
Because they've got like the
distances.
putting tracks and artificial grass things and all that.
So you
but I
can
think
put
this
this
is better.
on it.
Put this on there,
Yes.
and then you could get a real feel.
But you're also going to know, like, it's immediate feedback. Now, you could say you get feedback if you push it or this way, but
You
really
don't
what you're
know.
trying to do is groove your stroke so that you're hitting the ball on your intended line repeatedly.
Do you ever hear that thing? Nicholas talks about this all the time, like, and I'm sure great players such as yourself do this. He doesn't ever look. He picks a spot like 6 feet in front of where he's hitting, and he wants to watch the ball fly over that.
So-
I try to use that with the boys. Like, just think, don't worry about all that. Just try to hit it there.
Yeah. So you try to pick something like, especially if it's something where you're trying to start it on a different line. I'll sometimes pick something way in the distance and I'll use that as my line. But if I'm trying to start something here, or even on a putt, you're looking for the fall point if it's got a break to it. So that's your actual target line, is not the hole. It's that fall
there.
point. Yeah.
Right.
I try to do it with irons where you do it like 6 inches ahead, but for some reason, like my eyes, even though I know it's the right thing,
Yeah.
it just doesn't look right to me. So I'm better off just kind of like doing something a little further in the distance for your eyes, the way that my eyes see it.
We had tunnel lacrosse. We had the league championships this weekend. So Bootsy
Did we hang
and
any banners?
Bootsy and NBC were Saturday, and then Beamsy was Sunday. So in the 3rd, 4th grade, what we do, Hudson, is we split 3 teams equally, or as many teams as we can fill. We fill them all equally. So there isn't a true A team. So you'll have 3 Hudson teams that play in the league throughout the year. And then in years past, when the older 2 were in that grade, they just would play like what they call the festival, which is you just play 3 games in the league tournament, but it's not for anything. So one of the things that we've been talking about for a long time is, man, it'd be fun, like at the end, to just put an A team together and play in the league tournament.
Yep.
So most of the other towns go AB, even at 3rd, 4th, they go AB, but we don't. So this year they did. So we put an A team together. So Bootsy's a 3rd grader, so he made it. It was a 4th grade. There were 3 or 4
Nice.
3rd graders, so he made it, and it was good. He probably deserved it. Had a pretty good little year. And so we go to the league tournament. Well, and I know that our director let the league know, but they made us the 8th seed.
Yep.
Well,
Doesn't feel right.
you're not an 8 because you knew it was good. How it was? I mean, they have a good program.
By the way, I'd be pretty bummed if I was the 1 seed and drew you as the 8.
Well, that was Copley. So they were either one of the 2, I'm not sure, but took care of that. Then we played Jackson in the semifinals, took care of that, and then we played Rocky River in the final, and they hadn't lost all year, and then we won that. And so it was like, so where did these guys come from type of a thing for everybody else? And there were some comments about, well, yeah, that's typical Hudson. That's what they do. They put all their guys. We've never done it before, and that is your A team. And our kids had 4 days of practice and then went and
So
played.
you guys made an all-star team that hadn't played together.
Had
all
never
season.
played together, but only of Hudson kids. We just took the best
course.
kids on the 3 teams and put them together, whereas other teams have been playing with their AB teams all year. So they hung a banner in that one. Then NBC hung one Saturday in the 7/8s, playing up with the 8s.
What's like
so
an
they won.
average score in a
Depends on the
lacrosse game?
goalies. Like it can be 15-12. Bootsy's, I think, were like 12-4, 13-7, 13-8 or something like that. NBC's were like 5-2, 8-2, tight ones. So it just depends on the goalie. And then when you go to the big field, then the scoring gets harder to do just because the field gets so big. Bootsy's still playing on the little field. They just go 6-on-6 that way. And then Beamsy finished second. They lost in the final to Jackson. So that was, but anyway, it was a really good weekend. But it was crazy.
Does he
like
get some like trash talk from the brothers?
well, the thing is, he loves it the most, so that was tough. It was a tough pill to swallow for him to die. But the right team, they were really good. Jackson was really good, and he's a 5th grader playing up, so it's okay. But I mean, he was pretty broken by it. But then, when it was all said and done, I'm like, all I did was this all weekend. I paid no attention to the rest. I hardly watched any of the sports, and I know we'll talk about some of this as it goes along. But then we went to the lake yesterday for a niece's birthday party, so we did an up and back up to the lake. And it was funny, like my wife was like hell-bent on the kids getting in the pool at the lake. And just like, it was almost like she was trying to manufacture heat. Like,
It's not that warm.
and it's not warm, and I just kept saying, I'm like, honey, NBC's like, Dad, I'm not getting in the pool. It's cold out. And she's like, oh, but it's so warm. And she's always the one who's the coldest, but she was like trying to manufacture heat. And that was kind of the theme of the weekend, was it was cool all weekend long. It really was.
Yeah.
And it's just not what you're accustomed to this time of year.
We're not getting next
a
weekend
while.
looks like it could be okay, and then 2 after that I think is going to be pretty good.
Buddy, that's like July 4th.
Yeah,
Like-
I know.
You're middle of the summer,
Yeah, I
pal,
know.
is where you're at.
I know.
Yeah, so it was a good holiday weekend, but it was short and it was weird. And I think like even a day like today doesn't help
No.
because it's warm. It's in the high 60s, but it's gray
Tomorrow's going to be like this too, with maybe even
and cooler, right?
some rain.
Yeah. So this is not great. Brock informs me we're 100 days until kickoff. I don't need those. I'm not ready. I don't want any. I saw like the NCAA video game thing drop today, and I'm like, let's pause.
Let's just.
I don't
chill.
need to hurry up football.
No.
We're in football nonstop.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
20 NFL teams begin OTAs today. We are one of them. Part of the voluntary off-season program. Tomorrow's will be open to the media. Today's, I saw them practicing when I was coming in, but
I know I'm going to be in your neck of the woods tomorrow. I'm kind of bummed about it.
You're not going to be bummed for long.
No, I don't think I will be bummed. I don't think it'll be a lingering bumness. But I would have liked to have been here for the,
I'm guessing that the salt that potentially would go on that wound of you missing an open session will be eased when you hit the first tee.
I think you could be right.
Yeah, I think you're going to. Now, I assume, is it a scramble or are you just playing? Do you know what you're in for?
No, in fact, that's one of the things I'm efforting right now. Is like, hey, I know that this thing's happening tomorrow because you guys told me, but
When do you have to
I
be
don't
there?
have an itinerary.
You don't know? You're going tomorrow. You play
I know.
tomorrow.
Yes. And it's not like it's down the street. It's not
No.
far, but it is.
No, it's an
it
hour.
requires.
You're going to get
planning.
off. You're probably going to get off in Delaware exit is what I think you'll probably get off.
Okay, sounds nice.
So you're probably from your house. You're probably an hour 50,
Okay.
something like that, door to door.
Well, yeah, and I don't know. And then I'm posting
wonder what
something.
the
I don't
weather
know
is.
what that is. It's.
What are you dealing with down there? Do you know?
Yeah, I pulled it up yesterday. I think it's low 60s and maybe a little bit of rain. We're hoping
It's
not,
the
right?
big
we're hoping not.
Memorial Tournament Pro-Am is tomorrow.
Right.
With Peyton's down there and Steph
so-
Curry and I think Larry Fitz are the headliners.
Tomorrow, shower. They're raining today.
Yes.
Tomorrow is 67 with a 47% chance of rain.
Yeah, it really depends on when you. Yeah, I mean I think you'll be all right as long as there's not thunder. As long as you're not that, and they got to close things
Then
down.
every day after that, starting on the 2nd, is 80 degrees for a whole week.
Yeah, they got like mid-80s down there next week.
Yeah.
It looks like it'll be okay for the Memorial Tournament, which starts on
here's this.
Thursday. But
So this looks like Wednesday looks like no rain. I think the rain that is counting for it is rain that may come at midnight, basically. So it should be okay.
I have
Just cloudy.
I find myself doing this as the years stack. Yesterday, my sister-in-law was saying that she's going to a wedding in Athens, Georgia. And I said, God, you're going to love Athens. It's awesome. Great. It's like the perfect college town. Like, it's so cool.
There's a grindhouse there.
There is a grindhouse there. She'll crush it. And then after I got done saying that, I thought to myself, it's been 20 years since I was in Athens. That's how old I am now. Like you forget. So like you're going to play a course that I've played,
Yep.
but I last played it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I assume it's the same.
I think it's pretty good.
Oh, I know
I've
it's
heard it's pretty
great.
good. I've
It's
heard it's pretty good.
pure. It's amazing. It was my favorite one of the big four down there. It's my favorite one to play. Maybe just it was more playable for me. Muirfield was not a lot. Is never fun for me ever.
Muirfield is tough.
It's not fun. If you're a hack, it's not fun, and I am, and it's not. So
Hard if you're good.
yeah, it's no fun. So this one is really cool and fun, and so, but it's been 15 years since I've played it, so I don't even. I know that it's still great, but one of the cool things about it is, if you don't know where you're going, you are going to go right by it. You will not. There's not a gate. Nothing.
Yeah,
It used to be a post. It was a fence post.
I like that.
And it has the two eagles, and that's it. And if you don't know it's there, phew,
Goodbye.
like in the old days before like GPS or like, the stuff that like the
Is it a
self-driving
great logo?
stuff. It's great. Yeah, dude, it's a great logo.
So if I'm able to, I need to get.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're going to do well in there. In fact, I may have you purchase a couple of things for my behalf because they're
Sure.
Yeah, it's quite a strong logo. But if you don't know where it is, I like in the old days, like with a map.
Yeah, been real hard. Remember MapQuest?
I do remember MapQuest. I would print out the step by step.
That's all you could do.
The first time I played there, I remember that because we lived in Dublin at the time, and I kind of snaked back way to get there, and I had it printed out, and I was reading it, and it was like point however miles from this, and then you're this and that, and I drove by it, and then I'm like, oh my God, I think that was it, and then I had to turn around and come back in. You won't have that problem because I'm guessing it's on. You'll put it in the thing, and you'll be good to go.
I'm excited though.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. That'll be very fun. 20 NFL teams began OTAs today. The Browns, of course, are one of them. As I mentioned,
some with the new
voluntary.
coaches had
been going
rolling
for a while. Yeah. Do you know? I saw that we got Mason Graham inked. If you're not signed as a rookie, can you participate in these or no?
Yes,
you can.
If absolutely.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a rule. So all of our guys should be out there.
Yeah, the guy that's the only person I think that is not. There's like there's waivers. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
That protect it as part of the CBA. The only guy that I think that is not is the Cincinnati guy. I think he's like refusing to play until he signs his contract, and he doesn't like what they're out. It's slotted, dude.
The DN from Cincinnati,
Shamar
Stewart out of Texas A&M.
Yep.
So what? I wonder who's representing him that thinks that they're going to give him something different.
Just feels like the Bengals end up with a lot of weird stuff around money.
Them and the Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers do that. The Spanoses do that too. Or they're like, we're going to – dude, come on. What are we doing?
But the thing is, it's slotted.
Right.
This is what you get.
This is it. Yeah.
I think that's probably like a negotiation on how the bonus part of it is paid, is my guess, is the only thing that's negotiable. But the totals,
Total's a total, man.
Total's a total.
Yeah. And I saw this – I heard Schefter talking about this morning. I want to say it was on ESPN radio. It could probably have young Brock there find it, but the audio. But he was on, and he was talking about how the most interesting thing in the NFL is our quarterback competition. And that it's the one thing that everybody's going to be talking about. Now, the one pushback I had for that is the first quarterback he mentioned was Shedeur. And, of course, if you're ESPN and you need talking points of football for the next month, that's kind of low-hanging fruit, is to just talk about Shedeur every day, because they did that all the way through the process. They basically set the agenda that they were going to talk about him throughout the draft no matter what. And so I guess they'll just follow suit this summer and continue to do that. But the one thing that I did agree with him on is we just haven't had many instances like this where you truly have a legitimate four-quarterback competition. And you and I have framed it. I'll give you the full credit as you deserve. It's your framing. But the three young guys are kind of all there. And then the fourth being Joe is the break glass guy, which we've said before.
That's the way I see it, for sure. I think what you're going to see, too, is the Browns, because of this being so unique, I almost think you're going to see like split. We talked about earlier. I think you're going to see like split practices. I think you could have 7-on-7s going on. Either you're going to see more sessions, or you're going to see during 7-on-7 periods, you're going to see two of them going on simultaneously.
Yeah. You have to.
And how they break that up will be interesting. I think in one area could be Pickett and Flacco, and then you keep the rookies together.
Yeah.
Or at some point, you go with Pickett and whichever rookie seems to be pushing the most, and have Flacco with the other rookie. But I think to start, you're going to see. I think it's going to be. I think it almost out of necessity, out of your need to maximize your time, to have simultaneous 7-on-7s going on. You've got the room. You've got all the fields.
Yeah.
I think from a train camp standpoint, or when this stuff is open, if that's the way they go, it's going to be great for fans. There's going to be stuff on constantly going on.
Oh my gosh, in camp?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be unbelievable. Kev, did I hear you say you have the Schefter sound?
Yes, so I have two cuts if you guys want them. I have the most interesting storyline, and then, of course, Browns trying to get a look at both QBs. We can start right now with most interesting storyline. This is courtesy of Adam Schefter on Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio.
Well, I think the most interesting storyline going into OTAs, and it will be a storyline throughout the summer, is the quarterback room of the Cleveland Browns. Is there a more interesting topic in the National Football League than who's going to be the starting quarterback in a division going up against Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow and maybe Aaron Rodgers?
Very good. And then this is the one where he talks about
Trying to get a look at the QBs.
Getting a look. Okay, go ahead, bud.
It could be Shador Sanders. It could be Dylan Gabriel. It could be Joe Flacco. It could be Kenny Pickett. We don't think that Deshaun Watson will be recovered from his second torn Achilles injury, though he's been throwing the football and trying to get back. So the Cleveland Browns are in OTAs, and I think this is a chance for them to get a extended look at some of these quarterbacks, see what they could do, see what they think going into the summer break and training camp this summer. But that's going to be something that I think we're all interested in all summer long. There'll be a lot of conversations.
Kev, good job out of you on that. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, this is going to be fascinating by the time we get to camp, how they do all of this. And I don't know, this might be something where you think you have to be malleable and see what's getting it done, practice in, practice out, week in, week out.
I think that's exactly right. Look, I think they're going to go into it from the standpoint that Kenny Pickett's going to be the starter. He is the leader in the clubhouse.
Yep.
And you either need someone he either needs to falter or somebody needs to usurp him with consistently better play. And I think you'll know if any of that is in the offing. This is not going to be something you're going to know, I think, at this time of the year. But I think as we get into training camp, if all of a sudden you see one of the rookies start to get the first team reps, then you'll know that, okay, he's done well enough in what he's been asked to do. Let's see what it looks like now that we up the competition. I also think you're going to need to see a lot of ones-on-ones,
absolutely,
because that's the only way that you're going to get ready. And right now, in one-on-ones situation, I don't mean one player on one player, I mean starters on starters, this defense should be much better than this offense. Mm-hmm. It just should be.
Yeah. Because
really one of the things that you're going to get out of the offense that you can't really get in training camp unless we do some live periods is the running game. Mm-hmm. Like, what does it really actually look like when you have to get Quinshon Judkins to the ground?
Yes.
So it's in a passing camp situation, our defense should be better than our offense. So if you have a quarterback that actually can look good in spite of that, I think that could bode very, very well for the Cleveland Browns. And I think that's what you're looking for.
Going to be fun. Going to be
and
very,
this
very
kind of
fun.
tees up. We did a little bit right there,
go.
but I think that this is going to be, I created some little things here for the OTA preview, which we should be able to. We might not even need anything else, honestly, for a while, but we'll get through it.
That's coming up next. An OTA preview. What to look for. We'll go through the depth chart, go through position battles, let you know where our eyes will go as we watch this stuff over the next couple of weeks, all in advance of what should be an incredible training camp by the time we get to late July and early August. Those are your hot topics of the day. They're presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. That is coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. More fun with your Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today. Get 50 back in bonus bets. You place your first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet is official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for your OTA preview. We will take a look at each position group. We will do so through a series of questions per group. We will rely heavily on the greatness that is Dr. Z. And we begin expected starter. So here are the categories. We'll do expected starter, how many from that position group will make the 53, best battle to watch, any sleepers, and who would you most want to have dinner or drink with, which is great. I love that. I love that. Very, very good.
Yeah, they had to be in there.
Yeah, they had to be in there. All right.
I'm looking at this thing that we just got here. Where's this from?
You talking about this depth?
Yes.
The quarterback one is interesting.
That's what I'm saying. Where's this from?
I got it off of ESPN.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So not Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
That's all I was really looking for.
Yeah. So we begin at quarterback because that is the topic of the day, certainly, and we begin with expected starter. Well, as we have talked about many times over the last couple of months, we have what we believe to be is, I couldn't think of another example, I know you haven't either, a true four-person quarterback race, probably really a 3.5 quarterback person race, but nevertheless, four guys who are all capable, two rookies among them.
Yeah, so when I look at this, I think Kenny Pickett, if we're going, item by item, I think very excited to deliver whatever he's delivering. It was like,
I think he was so proud
that looked like a great deal of pride.
that all we did was look up and it was like, you see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
I couldn't make out exactly what it was. Couldn't tell if it was a donut.
It was like some type of a pastry cake.
It seemed like an
tower.
edible arrangement,
Yeah, an edible
of some
arrangement.
sort, but
Yeah.
not the fruit that you sometimes
No,
see. No.
certainly
This
not.
was some sort of a
I didn't see a manicured pineapple. It looked
no,
like a
no,
daisy.
no. It looked like a, it looked
No,
different.
like a
very, very proud. Oh, he even wants more
Oh,
affirmation.
yeah, big smile.
Yeah, really
How about
likes.
it?
Like, how about that? Enjoy
Yeah.
those. That'll
Oh,
be
good.
great.
Yeah, strutting really. I mean, you could
Really
make
striding out.
It is a strut.
Quite the
Was done.
delivery.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Very good.
Acid wash is back apparently.
I don't buy into any of that. It was like when they brought the women would wear like those high waisted wide leg pant things that everybody tried to wear,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think they still are a little. Just stop.
No.
Stop.
By the way, one of the things is I sent Brock about a great many things for topics for the week.
Yeah.
One of them was, and I just want you to think about. This is obviously important stuff for what we're going to do now, but just to think in the back of your head. Has there ever been a period since we've been alive, and I'll even say go in 20 years before we were born, so starting in the 50s,
Okay.
where there has been a 20-year period where if you were to just throw something on television, and I found this on X,
Okay.
that you wouldn't know where it's from, and the thought is
Ambiguity in era is what you're
like
looking for.
If you watch people in 2005 and 2025, people are dressing pretty much the same. It looks pretty much the same.
Oh no, every other decade has.
But I think about from the
eras.
50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s,
all
and now
those
all of a sudden we've just like.
It's like this is what we are.
Right. So it was like the point was if you thought about what you showed somebody who was born in the 80s and they're wearing neon and the spandex and they have crimped out hair, and then you show them like hippies from the 60s, it's like a different world.
Totally.
And then the 70s is a different
pretty
world
good
as well.
observation.
But now we've kind of like settled into this is what we look like. This is what hairstyles are. This is what
You're
clothes look
probably
like.
right. There really isn't any. What do we attribute that to?
I don't know. Maybe we just finally have found the sweet spot of athleisure. I think athleisure and
athleisure's
but
been
you're
a big
talking
part
about
of it.
The 50s
but it's even
was so buttoned up, and then the 60s is crazy, and then the 70s is the bell bottoms and the hair.
Yeah. You can identify all of
hairstyles
it.
have
For sure.
never gone 20 years without really changing.
I wonder if social media played a role in that, like just kind of group thinking it
Maybe
versus like.
Maybe.
I
Anyway,
know, that's
just a little
fascinating.
aside. A little
That's
fast. Okay.
fascinating.
All right. So quarterback expected starter, in my opinion, is Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't, honestly. I mean, it'd take one of the kids to really,
Yep.
or something not to go well. How many? This is a good one. I think we could be 4. How many from this position group make the 53?
I think 3.
Okay. Would you bend with me a little bit and say 4 at the
I think
beginning
it's possible.
is possible?
I think it's possible. My guess is at that point you're gonna, if the 3 young guys are looking good and you're good to go, I think at that point you're trying to trade Flacco somewhere where he can play and that he can help somebody. Be the mentor to a Tyler Shuck. Feels like a very natural mentor type to Tyler Shuck in terms of size, what their skill sets would be in New Orleans. So I think that's why I think you'll ultimately end up at 3.
Okay. Best battle to watch.
All of it.
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. It's
all of it.
The 3 young guys.
All of it. The 3 young guys. Yeah. Less Flacco in the sense that we know what Flacco is, and he's great.
Yeah.
Love him. But I think, that's what I think it is.
Number 4, any sleepers? Is it possible that Pickett's the sleeper? I feel like you and I have been talking about it for 2 weeks, but I feel like a lot of people on the beat haven't been talking about it, and I feel like a lot of other people on Sports Talk Radio aren't, fans aren't, but I feel like we have been for 2 months.
Like, it's hard to be both the favorite and the sleeper, but I think people are having a hard time getting their head around the fact that he is the favorite.
They really are. Yeah.
But he is.
Yeah. No, and we've been talking about it for a long time. Who would you most want to have dinner, drink with?
Flacco.
That's easy. That's Flacco by 100 miles.
Flacco.
You and I could have been.
I love
we
that
could be
guy.
dads for the 2 young ones. Damn near Pickett, too, if we would have got started. Well, no, Pickett, too, for sure. We could have. Flacco, though. I mean, wouldn't that just
college. We would have still been in college.
I understand, but we
possible.
could have.
Yeah, it's possible.
Whereas Flacco, that's pure joy. I mean, he's a contemporary.
Yeah, he's a peer.
That's right.
Yeah. So
We have a great time at
that.
OFs with him.
I give that to Flacco gets. I'm going to give a little check mark to the.
Yeah, I like Flacco on that. All right, running back room, buddy. Expected starter. The participants. I mean, do we have to go through everybody, or should we assume that we know the participants?
No, I think we should. Let's go take a look at the room as it is right now. You've got Quinshon Judkins, Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson, Pierre Strong, and Amani Marshall.
Expected starter.
So this is Brock in the future. So they don't do depth charts on ClevelandBrowns.com yet. That happens kind of like as you get into the season because it's when they put out in the media guides. So the most comprehensive one, I think, at this point in the year is Our Lads. Yeah. And that Our Lads also has good color coded, so you know like who's a rookie, who's a undrafted free agent, who was, signed in free agency this year, who was traded for. You kind of get all that stuff.
Honestly, that they're both for the kit, just public service, and we don't have any. I don't know the folks who run Our Lads or anything, but like
Dan Shanka.
Is that the great Dan Shanka?
Shanka.
Oh, he's unbelievable. So he does college and pro.
Yes, Shanka.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
Yeah, Shanka's
great job.
He's a stud.
Yeah, he's a stud. So there you go. There's your look there.
Yeah.
Expected starter.
All right, so my expected starter here is Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah.
However, I really think that this will be a 3 running back committee with Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson, and Jerome Ford. And I think Ford will be your 3rd down back until he is unseated, if he is unseated by anybody.
I think, and a lot of people obviously out there listening that remember, you think about what Ohio State did last year with Quinshon and Travion. Like, think that. You have 3 really talented running backs.
Jerome Ford averaged 5.4 yards.
I know, that's why I said 3.
Yeah.
You have 3 studs.
Yeah, you're right.
So you can kind of split that up and spread those carries around a little bit. How many from this position group will make the 53?
I think 3. I think Pierre Strong is really fighting for his life here because they may want to, and the reason that I say 3, it could really be 4. So Troy Hairston is the fullback that we brought in,
right?
And if we're going back to Kevin stuff, right, that means you could be going back to a real fullback. Hairston was in Houston. It could be. Now again, he was on our practice futures contract. We'll see, but that's a true fullback for you right there. 5'11", 245. And you think about, in Minnesota, he always had a C.J. Ham. When he first came here, we brought in Andy Janovich.
Yep.
So we had a fullback when we were running Kevin's offense.
Yeah,
so
always.
That's somebody that I would put a star by. We didn't count him as a running back. He's a fullback, but yes.
Best battle to watch.
I think really the only what I would call battle per se is just kind of how it all shakes out, how the carries are divvied up, and then like can the young guys, either of them, challenge to be on the field on third downs?
Yeah, and I think it's all going to be spread out and game by game who gets more carries. That's kind of the way it feels right now. But can Quinshawn Judkins separate? Not that he needs to, because they're all going to get. But, like, you draft somebody where he was drafted, the expectation is you're a dude. And we believe he's a dude, and we think it's going to show up that way. So does he look that way right away? And how quick does he pick up all the other things that come with this offense? Because, if we have success, I think it's really going to have to come out of this room this year. All right, any sleepers? Pretty straightforward, right?
I think it's pretty straightforward. The guy that I would say is a sleeper is Dylan Sampson. Like, what can
he's good, man.
SEC Offensive Player of the Year, but
Really
how
good
can he kind of emerge?
Who would you most want to have a dinner drink with in this room?
I really enjoy talking to Judkins every time I've interviewed him. So
He's pure joy, dude.
that would be the one I would say.
He's so much fun.
Yep.
He has got a smile on his face almost always.
Yep.
And just personally, it would be fun to hear kind of a behind the scenes on what happened after the Michigan loss for Ohio State and how they somehow got that thing back on the tracks.
Yep.
Would be interesting. All right, we're in the receiver room now, my friend. In terms of who is in that room, there are quite a few. Jerry Jeudy obviously leads it. Cedric Tillman is there. Jamari Thrash is there. David Bell, Michael Wood. DeAndre Carter is in this room as well. Deontay Johnson comes over into this room. Caden Davis. There's a bunch of guys in this room. This is the one spot where, and they did add Deontay Johnson, and you take a flyer on that. I was surprised we didn't address it more in draft, and maybe we do address it at some point this summer a little bit more.
Yeah.
Either that or Cedric Tillman is going to have to come along in a big, big way.
Yeah. A lot of people are going to have to come along in a big, big way. You either need Deontay Johnson to get back to being what he was. Now, I think we're going to play a heck of a lot more 12 personnel. We're not going to be as 3 wide receiver heavy, but you need Deontay Johnson to go back to being that, Pro Bowl level receiver that he was in separator. You need Jamari Thrash, who I think they have a lot of belief in, to maybe take a big step forward here in his second season. I think that's another one. This is not the strongest room on the roster. And it's a very important room.
Jerry Jeudy's incredible. And
of course.
that was an incredible career renaissance for him last year.
Yep.
But this is among the weaker units in the league, top to bottom, I think.
I think that's probably fair.
Based on what's been done on the field.
Yeah.
Not to say that potentially you can't get there, because you loved – when you drafted Cedric Tillman, I mean, this is what you drafted him to be.
Of course.
But we're 2 years in, and so now it's time to go.
Well, you saw it last year, and then unfortunately it was, the concussion that knocked him out. But Cedric Tillman last year was very much looking like the star that you drafted him to be. You go back into his game logs from last season, and it coincides obviously with Jameis becoming the quarterback, but he went 8 for 81, 7 for 99 and 2 touchdowns, 6 for 75 and a touchdown, 3 for 47 against Pittsburgh, and then got knocked out of that against New Orleans, and then got knocked out of the Pittsburgh game. But he was on a path there where he was looking pretty darn good. I mean, in his last 4 full games, he caught 24 passes and averaged, 80 yards a game.
Yeah.
With 3
That's
touchdowns.
doing it.
Yeah. So that's what you're looking for. But it is a monster year for him. You need, whether it's Jamari Thrash, whether it's Deontay Johnson, one of these young guys, Luke Floria, who was the rookie minicamp darling. You need somebody to really emerge as a third receiver.
Yep.
Bigly. Now, DeAndre Carter is an interesting one because we're talking about him as a returner only, but he is somebody that has been at least productive in other places. Now, it's been a few years, but when he was with the Chargers in 22, he had 538 yards receiving.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting that because it's been so much less than that every other year. But, you need probably 2 guys to emerge as realistic threats, because right now you're an injury to Jerry Jeudy away from being terrified. I still think, and we've heard rumors that they like Olave. Who doesn't like Olave? Of course you like Olave. I don't see why the Saints would trade him. But if we've been really good with wide receiver trades, man, I would like Alec Pierce is the guy from Indy.
Yeah.
I've liked him since he was at Cincinnati. I would be looking around. Green Bay has got too many receivers.
Way too many.
Like, does Wicks? Are they trading him? Are they trading Romeo Doubs? Are they looking to move somebody? Do you take a gamble on Christian Watson, who we liked in the draft process? He hasn't been able to sell healthy, but he's big and can run.
Yeah, when he is healthy, he can go.
I think there needs to be still an influx of talent here. And the weird thing about it is, right now I think you're looking at maybe 5. Judy, Tillman, Carter feel like the only ones that are locks to me.
Yeah.
So then now you're talking about this thrash emerge. Does David Bell, emerge? If Deontay Johnson
is he's the sleeper.
If he wants to be,
if you can be a sleeper, having accomplished what he has, he's the sleeper, and he's the lottery ticket. Honestly, he's the get out of jail free card.
Well, and for him, the reality of the situation is, if this isn't good, this might be the end of the road for him in the National Football League.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of the situation.
Who would you want to have a cocktail with in this group? I think Deontay would be interesting just because I don't know him much.
So I would obviously Judy. I love Judy.
Yeah.
I was going to say Deontay as well, and I just want to be like, all right, where are we at?
Where
are we at?
Yeah.
Or what are we here to do?
Yep. Yeah.
What are we here to do?
I think that's a very good one. All right, tight end room. What did you settle on? You settled on 3 or 4 receivers.
I got 5.
Or 5, I mean.
It's got to be 5 ultimately.
5.
Yeah.
5. Okay. All right. Tight end room we go. Expected starter, that's easy. It's Chief. We put a big emphasis on this with the drafting of Harold Fannin Jr. as well.
Yep.
Blake Whiteheart is in this room at tight end as well. And so this will be a return to this position being an emphasis from a year ago where this kind of fell off a little bit. This will go back to what it was with Stefanski the first time around.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a lot of Njoku and Fannin on the field together. For me, the battle to watch is – here's the other thing to think about. Fannin could really kind of be your third receiver.
Yeah.
He could be a big slot for you. So
for sure.
If how this all comes together, to me, he is very important to what this offense can truly be, and he could actually help alleviate some of the things that are wrong right now in the receiver room if he can be very, very good. I think you end up keeping 3.
Yeah.
The question becomes, can you have 3 and Hairston? I don't know that. So, like right now, if we had 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 5 receivers, that's 11.
You're at 14 so far.
14 with tight ends, 15 with Hairston, right?
Yeah, you're 14 with 3 quarterbacks, not 4.
Yeah,
and so that's where it starts to get interesting
because you can only have 9 on the O line.
Correct.
You can't be 25. You're going to need at least 26 on D.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what's kind of tricky about that.
Yeah.
Sleeper. No, it's pretty straightforward at tight end. Most like to have dinner with. I'd like to know Harold Fannin a little bit more. I feel like we've been around Chief a lot. Know him pretty well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Chief is a very fun. I feel like we could go to a very fun something. I'd like to have. Can we have dinner with Chief in Miami?
I don't know that I could handle it.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could.
Young me?
No, you're
old me back in the mix.
What do they say? You only need to be as great once as you ever were. You don't need to be great every time.
Now, back when I was banging, I could have done it for sure, but that's been a long time.
No, you could do it, dude.
Yeah.
Trust me. Me. You can always rise to the occasion.
Just one time? Just a one-time get it back?
You can always rise to the occasion.
Right. Offensive line. We'll finish out on the offensive line.
Okay. So starters. DeJuan Jones, Joel Bitonio, Ethan Posick, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin.
Yep. Boy, there's you think about how highly they thought of Luke Whippler before the injury.
Yep.
And now he's back.
Yep.
Zach Sinner, obviously, they drafted. He struggled, but he's in the mix here as well. You've got Taven Jenkins, Lorenzo Thompson, Cornelius Lucas.
I think you got those 4, your 9, and then it's just a matter of can a Javian Cohen, who they were very excited about, the guard out of Miami. Can we get any of these tackles? Can we get any young tackle to show us anything?
Show me something, baby.
Anything.
Incredible opportunity.
Lorenzo Thompson, Julian Pearl, Mbedeka, Jason Ivey, can we get any of them to show us something that gives us some comfort that, they can be a part of what we're able to do?
That's it. That's really the most critical thing, and that's probably the battle to watch as well, because there really isn't any battle on the front lines. Those are all starters entrenched. It's just going to be those backup tackles. Who's going to have that and potentially try to be a tackle of the future. Any sleepers you like here?
I mentioned Cohen. I know that they liked him a lot. I still think Luke Whippler's a little bit of a sleeper. The guy that you really need Zach Zinter to take a big step forward. You need Zach Zinter to become an heir apparent that, we had Joel in here. It was a big decision to come back this year.
Yep.
So he is not going to be here forever.
No.
So you need to find an opportunity. You need to find Zach Zinter ready to move up in that role.
Need some future planning to start to come to fruition.
This line is like, in reality, there's not a lot of future planning right here with this line.
It's also something that I was surprised in the draft, at tackle.
Yeah.
That it wasn't.
But that's why we talked about, I think you go back to it and you say, okay, could be the biggest thing for this team is to have Pickett, Gabriel, or Sanders give you the confidence that they can be your quarterback long-term by going into next draft, because then you could draft a tackle and a receiver. You could draft a tackle and Caleb Downs. You can all of a sudden address two major things with probably top half of the first pick, top half of the first round.
Yeah. No, that's the best case scenario here on this. Dinner or drinks. I'm going to tell you something. You could do a lot worse. In fact, I think it would be an incredible conversation if we call in the bullpen and we bring Hoff in and have a meal with Hoff and Batonio.
Yeah. That was Batonio's giving me.
Isn't that it?
Yeah, that's
the Hoff's in the Galapagos.
I know.
So he goes turkey hunt club to Galapagos.
I'll tell you,
I saw him pulling in a marlin.
I don't want to speak for him, but I think under truth serum, he might be wishing he was still at turkey camp.
Well, I think the Galapagos is a choice.
It's pretty incredible.
Right, but also, that's a lot going on.
Well, there's a lot of Darwinian theories of evolution on display.
It's tough to get there.
2 days of travel. 2 days. They're having a great time.
It's ultra remote in every way. Everybody,
yes.
I've only known 2 people in my life who've gone to Galapagos before I saw Hoff was there, and both said incredible, but oh baby, it's a long ways and it's remote.
Yeah. Well, you check that off. You check that off the list. You're going to see things that you will only see there. It's incredible.
Where do you fly through?
Don't you have to go way
it's got to be
down?
Multiple flights. I mean, it's got to be from here. You would probably go. I assume you'd go to
somewhere to Latin America, right?
Right, like Denver to someplace in. Because isn't it it's off the west coast of South America?
Ecuador. Is where it's off of.
Okay, so then you have to go to Ecuador from Dallas. From here, from Dallas
you're
or
probably
Houston?
going to
Atlanta would be. You could do it.
You could probably get down there from somewhere in Mexico. You could just hit that right
Mexico
there.
City?
Or you're in Quito. Is that that's in Ecuador?
Yeah, it's a long ways.
Now, if we were doing it, I'm gonna fly into Colombia.
Oh, baby.
We'll do a few days in Colombia, then we'll head to the Galapagos.
Can you imagine you and I thriving down there?
It could.
I feel like we'd have the time of our lives.
Doesn't even require a lot for me to imagine it. Yeah, this is. I mean, he's in as nature a place as you can be. It's pretty remarkable, honestly.
It really is.
That's pretty remarkable.
All right, we'll do the defense. The defensive side of the OTA preview coming up next. Second hour of the program up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns and the Ohio's 529 plan a partner to present one lucky Browns fan with a $5,000 college savings award. You'll also receive 4 tickets to a VIP experience at Browns training camp. Visit collegeadvantage.com/Browns now through May 29th to enter for your chance to win. All right, we continue our positional preview of OTAs, and we are now on the defensive side of the ball, Dr. Z. And quite frankly, lots of strength here. This should be really a top 5 unit in the league, honestly.
Yeah, so the way we ended up doing it there is we went 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs inclusive of a fullback, 5 receivers, 3 tight ends, and 9 on the O-line, which put us at 24 on the offensive side. So we have 26 players to play with here on the defensive side of the ball. Let's start with the defensive ends.
Let's do it.
Because I think that's the room that you really need to start with. This room right now has many more NFL players in it than there is room for.
It's an incredibly talented deep room. I mean, it's
so
a bunch of guys who can play. And a lot of investment in this room, obviously.
Significantly so. You know, how this shakes out, I think, is going to be very fascinating. So starters, I think, are Myles Garrett and I think Isaiah McGuire. Mm-hmm. I think that he would be the favorite to start. You got Alex Wright coming off of injury. Obo has always kind of been more of a sub-package guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you brought in new guys, Tryon Shoyinka and Julian Okwara. So the way that I look at it, and by the way, Cam Thomas played really well for you last year.
Mm-hmm.
And was a former third-round pick, and I thought Ellerson Smith played well for you last year.
Good grief, you got Obo. You got like 8. You got 8 guys.
Yeah, Cam Thomas last year
who
played very well for you in 5 games, had a sack, 11 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss. He played well for you, and like I said, I think pretty sure he was a former third-round pick. Yeah, he was a former third. Ellerson Smith's a former 4th-round pick. I want to say the Giants, if I have that right. I'll tell you in 1 second if I do or not, but it feels right. 4th round of the Giants, yep, in 2021. So this is, you've got too many guys. My guess is you're going to end up with 5. Garrett and McGuire, I think, are your starters, and I think you're going to end up with 5 defensive ends. And so that means somebody who's been pretty good in this league is going to get cut. So
is there any possibility of a trade with any of these guys? Or?
For sure. I mean, I think Garrett McGuire, Alex Wright's coming back in the final year of his rookie deal, and Alex Wright had shown a lot of promise before that injury, derailed him last year. Like, we don't win. Alex Wright made the play that basically helped seal the game or help us win the game against the Jags in one of our few wins last year. But he only got to play in 4 games. Prior to that, he had not, and he was showing a lot of promise. His second year, 5 sacks. He had, I think, 4 sacks in the last 4 games. Really came on strong. So you like him. McGuire, I thought, looked very, very good for you last season as well. Tryon Shoyinka is a former first-round pick. He's a former first-round pick of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who has 15, 32nd overall, but still a first-round pick. 15 career sacks, 21 tackles for loss. First 3 years in the league, at least 4 sacks, 4 or 5. Last year, only 2, but a very talented guy.
Yeah.
So you've got him. You've got Obo, who has been here now. This will be his 3rd season here. Locker room favorite. He's got 17 career sacks. He had his first year here, 4.5 sacks. Last year, 3. 7.5 in his 2 years here, the most he's had in any 2-year stretch, and he's been a very solid player for the Cleveland Browns. And then you brought in Julian Okwara, who has 10 career sacks and had a year where he had really good. He was a former 3rd-round pick in 2020 when he had 5 sacks in 2021 for the Detroit Lions. So there's a lot of talent here, and this is kind of, to me, and then as we mentioned, Cam Thomas and Elder Smith. You have 8 guys who are NFL quality, and you're for 5 spots. So, yeah, this could be a position where you maybe are able to make a trade. I think the battle between McGuire, Wright, and Tryon Shoyinka, Obo, Okwara, really, like what's the rotation?
Yeah.
And who's the number 2? Who's the starter opposite Myles more often than not? But this is it's a fun It's a good room. It's a fun room. It's a competitive room. And I really like the way Isaiah McGuire emerged last year. I'm a big Isaiah McGuire fan, and I think that going into his third year, you got a chance for somebody who plays that big end role very well. He's very good against the run. He's developing as a pass rusher. He has a knack for getting the ball out, 3 forced fumbles a year ago. So I like it. But there's a lot of talent there. They think Alex Wright is a very talented guy, and he's still very young. Pretty sure Alex Wright is still, when we drafted him, I think he may have been 21. I think he's still pretty young. So McGuire is turning 24 in July, and Alex Wright is 25 in September. So
young
both,
kids,
yeah, relatively young players for having been in the league.
This is the front, the DNs, and then obviously investment at D-tackle, which we're going to get to next. The defense is the strength of this football team, and the front better be the strength of that defense. Yeah. Because it's an incredible amount of investment. Miles is here now long term. That's locked in. And so now he just chases down Canton is what his job is now going forward, and to be a real leader of this defense.
Totally.
Do you want to do drink, dinner on the D-line, D-end?
I really love him, Isaiah McGuire. I'd be fascinated. I've heard it. He's one of those guys who's going to have this year's transformed his body because he was never able to really be cut as he was still kind of growing.
Yeah.
And he's a young guy and looks great this year. I like him. Obviously, Miles would go to a fantastic dinner with Miles Garrett.
Isaiah, the cool thing about him is I remember him coming in here as a young player, but I feel like we haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
But I remember when he left thinking, it's a cool kid. I like that dude.
Yeah. I liked him
so
very much when we talked to him.
Lots to like, but that's been a while.
Yeah.
All right, defensive tackle. I'll tell you what, if this goes according to plan and you draft Mason Graham 5 overall,
he's starting.
And you have Mike Hall, who is a top 10
I think he
talent.
should be starting.
Yeah. This should be the strength. Those two defensive tackles, if Mike can play to what he is, those two playing off each other could be terrifying for opposing offensive lines.
And Malik Collins. Let's not forget, Malik Collins
too,
is a professional pass rusher, 30.5 sacks in his career. He was with, a couple of years ago, he was down in Houston with Jacques Césaire. He's had 5 sacks each of the last 2 years, Houston and then the Niners. He's a stud. He's a professional pass rusher. And then you add in, you got Shelby Harris as well and Jawan Briggs. I think that's your 5. I think they're going to go with 5 defensive tackles. This one to me feels a lot more like the 5. Going back to the defensive ends, like Tryon Shoyinka is my sleeper in the sense that he's a first-round pick. Like, can he, opposite Miles, thrive in a way that he did not down in Tampa? But back in this defensive tackle room, I don't know that there really are sleepers. Jawan Briggs, I know that they like a lot. Maybe he is, a sleeper and taking on a bigger role. But, Hall, Graham, Collins, and Shelby is your top 4, and Briggs being your big run stopper. I like that. Mike Hall and Mason, if we get to the point where it's Mike Hall, Mason Graham, Miles, and McGuire or whomever becomes that dominant number 2, I just think Mike Hall and Mason Graham could be one of the best tackle combinations in the league for a while, outside of obviously what's going on in Philly and thing's like that. But I think Mike Hall's that talented, and obviously their belief in Mason Graham, we haven't seen him in the NFL yet, but their belief in him is of that level. My guess is Hall probably doesn't start the season just because we don't know when we're going to get to see him on the field, right? He's probably a training camp guy. At least that was the last time we'd heard of it. But I like him a lot. I think he is a talented player. Talented player.
Who would you most want to have a dinner drink with? We ended up with 5, by the way, at this. So you're 5 DNs, 5 D tackles.
We've loved Shelby. He's great. I have heard from a lot of people that know him that Malik Collins is a very entertaining.
We have not had him in here, have we?
Yeah, I think we did.
Was I here?
I don't know. Maybe not.
I feel like I would have remembered. I don't remember him coming through here. Shelby's pure joy.
Yeah, Shelby's pure joy.
Yeah, but maybe both of them. We'll do them both.
Yeah.
All right, linebacker room now, my friend. A big emphasis here, not just in free agency, but also in the draft with the addition of Carson Swessinger. But, of course, we now know that JOK will not be a part of this room, at least for this year. So this adds to if he's in this room, good Lord. He's not, so some guys are going to have to step up.
Yeah, and I think that this is one of those rooms that, you do the math. My guess is you need 6 here because of the special teams. But I think Schlesinger, Hicks, and Diabate are your starters. And then I think it's, you're going to have Baker, Devin Bush, and then you're going to have a nice battle, I think, between Winston Reed and Buki Watson for that last spot. It really could be all four of them for 3 spots. Reed, Baker, Bush, and Watson for 3 spots is probably really the right way to look at it. But that's going to be a real nice battle there.
Yeah, certainly they brought in Jerome Baker, the former Benedictine linebacker and Ohio State Buckeye. I think he was a first-round pick at Miami. It was an early second with the Miami Dolphins with Jerome Baker. And then, obviously, Devin Bush came in here last year. He's such a likable dude and played well. And then so you have that battle there. Schlesinger, you're going to love him, folks. I mean, it's just as simple as that. You're going to fall in love with him when you see him. He's bigger than you think. He just shined at rookie minicamp in terms of he was just everywhere. And he's just an impressive physical specimen. Jordan Hicks, ultimate pro as well. If this room had JOK, then it's terrifying, which is just sucks that what happened to JOK. So, so you have 6 in this room, so that leaves you with 16 heading to the secondary. And let's start at
dinner. I'd like to.
Dinner.
JOK.
He's such a good dude, man.
Yeah, I like to talk to him, see how he's doing.
Yep, I think Schlesinger would be fun too, but he's just because I don't know him as well, and I'm impressed with what I've seen from him. Jerome Baker and Devin Bush together for the Michigan-Ohio State would be fun. To play off that a little bit. But yeah, JOK is one of the more introspective dudes you're going to find. All right, we're in the cornerback room now, buddy. Speaking of strength, there's a lot of it here. Veteran talent, tons of talent, all pro type stuff with Denzel Ward. Obviously, the Denzel, MJ, and Greg at the top. Cam Mitchell's been around a long time. A lot of familiarity here.
Yeah, your top 4, I think, Denzel, MJ, Newsome, and then Cam Mitchell. And then I think you've got a real battle to figure out who else is going to be kind of in this group. And I could see a situation where you end up with, 6 corners and 4 safeties to round things out here. But you've got MJ, Newsome, Denzel, Mitchell. And then I think it's kind of a battle. They picked up Anuzium and carried him on the roster all year last year.
Yeah.
So is he somebody that they really like, that they see? Nick Needham is a veteran. You drafted Miles Harden and you liked him. And then there's Tony Brown, right, who is a special teams ace. So that they brought back. And we love Tony Brown. So it really feels like Anuzium, Brown, Needham, Harden, and then you could get into Anthony Kendall and anybody else, but they're all competing, I think, for 2 spots. I think Emerson, Newsome, Ward, Mitchell is I think that's a pretty secure quartet.
So you're thinking 6?
I do think 6, yeah.
So that puts you to 22 as we head to the safety.
And then you're going to get 4 in safety, which will be, and this one feels pretty, hold on, corner, MJ for me. I love MJ, so that's who I would go out. That's who I'd have break bread with.
Here's the thing about MJ, pure joy.
Pure joy.
Always in a good mood, always happy. Now he's wearing number 1.
Yep.
You're going to have a very good time with him. All right, safety room. I mean, Ronnie Hickman needs to be a dude.
Yep, KZ and Jenkins are your 4. Chris Edmonds is a sleeper. I'll put him as a sleeper undrafted free agent, kind of more of a center field free safety. But yeah, you need Ronnie Hickman to go. But you've got options now. KZ and Jenkins, you have professionals back there. So that's kind of, to me, it's going to be a battle. Grant Delpit starting. Who starts with Grant Delpit, I think, will be very interesting to see. Because does KZ beat Hickman out? How does that all shake out?
You think this is 4? Those are the 4 guys?
I do think those are the 4 guys, now.
Delpit, Hickman, KZ, and Jenkins as your 4 in that room, which puts you at 26 and 24, and you did it, buddy, which is how you roll, my friend. Who would you like to have dinner with in that safety room?
Delpit. Love Delpit.
Yeah, he's easy to love.
Love him.
Yeah. I wonder if he's probably still thrilled he's 9. I did like him in the 22.
I did. Double deuces. He really should be in 7, right? Isn't that the big LSU
that was
number?
His LSU number he wore was 7.
That's LSU stud number.
Yeah.
I think
D-Hop's got it.
D-Hop's got it. Yeah.
D-Hop's got it. I wonder if he would switch again if it became available into the 7, or if now he owns 9
I think
at this point.
Then you have to buy all those other ones as well. So I don't think he wants to. I don't think he wants to deal with that. And then specialists: D-Hop, Bojorquez, and then probably Rex Sunahara, although he's got some competition at long snapper. And then, there you go, 53.
There it is.
There it is.
Carter returning things as it stands, and
Yeah.
away you go.
Yeah.
So, look, the media will be open tomorrow. Both quarterbacks are going to talk tomorrow. The two veterans are going to talk tomorrow. Jerry Judy's going to talk tomorrow. Brock, who's the fourth? Oh, Jerome Baker is the fourth who's going to go tomorrow. So those guys will go tomorrow. That session will be open to the media. So you're going to get your view, and we're going to get our view of how Kevin Stefanski handles these quarterbacks in the first OTA. I mean, it's one OTA, but nevertheless, you get a view of it. I'm of the opinion. I'm sure Kevin will say that it doesn't really matter. It's so early, but I think everything matters when you're in a quarterback competition. I always felt this. We don't see this in the NFL very often, but like when I would watch at Ohio State and you watch like a 2 or 3 person quarterback competition, like who gets what reps matter, how they back it the next day matters. There's intent for everything. That these guys aren't just thrown here randomly. Here's 4 guys. You take a snap, you take a snap. Like there's purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that'll be something to watch for very closely tomorrow when we kick off OTAs in terms of what the public can see. We'll go around the sports world coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today, get 50 back in bonus bets. You place that first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet's official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. All right, let's go around the sports world. We had a lot going on this weekend. You had a lot of racing. You had the Indy 500. You had a NASCAR race as well. You had Monaco. Pretty incredible. The Indy 500 did over 7 million viewers. Most watched Indy 500 since 2008. Viewership's up 40% over last year's race. I wish I had like a reason for why there was an enhanced interest in this. My theories are as follows. F1 is really quite popular because of the Netflix series, and honestly, because that video game is pretty great. And the kids are tuning into that, so I think open wheel, like it's similar, that helps. Monaco, which is on Sunday as well, was like 2.3 million people watched that, so maybe they kind of fed into one another. I don't know. And then I think the other thing is the weather sucked. In this whole part of the country, the weather wasn't great. Like it wasn't 75 and sunny, so like I think a lot of people just kind of hunkered in and had the TV on. Those are good numbers, though.
Great numbers. 40% from last year alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Big day for, obviously, Indianapolis, but
have you ever
done hold up their end of the bargain? No.
Have you ever been to an auto race of any kind?
I've seen some road racing, not like I forget where it was. But no, never like to a big NASCAR or Formula One.
IndyCar,
Or IndyCar.
It's a hell of a to-do. I mean, it's 200,000 people around it. I've been to the Daytona 500 a bunch and Talladega. I've not been to Indy. It's a real spectacle. I would tell you, though, like my experience covering Daytona as much as I did, like the first 5 laps are really cool and the last 10 are really cool, and everything else, it's just like we're still driving.
And there's a lot of it.
Lot to go. It's 500 miles, baby. Long way to go. And that's what I remember from it. It was like, we're still here. And it was easier for me, like what I would do at Daytona.
How long is the race then?
Well, 4 hours. I mean, it takes forever. I mean, it's for Daytona, I would watch the first 5 and then I'd watch the last 10, like out near the track.
Yep.
But you really can't see anything at track level.
Yep.
Because it's 2.5 miles around it. So the only way is if you were way up, could you see the whole track? Otherwise, you're watching on a monitor.
Right, yeah.
So, like, you watch them, like, fly by, and then we'll see you around the next time, and they do it again. But I would find myself, like, just watching on television is what I would end up doing more than anything else.
Yeah.
And just wait for it to kind of be done. But the party's a good party. Like, and I'm guessing the Indy 500's a hell of a party.
It's got to be.
Saturday night into Sunday's got to be.
It's got to be.
Got to be pretty good. So the NBA. The nostalgia had pulled me in to Knicks Pacers, but then it's 2-0, and I'm like, all right, we'll see if the Knicks have any fight in Game 3. So I watched the beginning of Game 3, and they're down 20, and I'm like, okay, this is a short series, and the Pacers will be on to the final, and away we go. So then I flipped over because they're showing all of the Mission Impossibles, like they're on a loop.
Yeah.
Because the new one dropped this weekend, so they're being shown on a loop. So I'm like, oh, I don't even know which one it is. It doesn't matter. They're all kind of the same after the first one. One big set piece after another. And so I watched that, and it was one of those instances where social media was good. I checked Twitter, and it was, oh, my God, they've come back.
It's sassy Karl Anthony Towns.
So I flipped it back, and all of a sudden,
on a mission.
Karl Anthony Towns is unstoppable downhill.
Step back threes.
Step back 3. So I got there for like the last 5 or 6 minutes,
great.
and it was awesome. It was awesome.
Only Halliburton could make a shot for the Pacers down the stretch.
I think it's just the 3-point shooting. Like, it just comes and it goes.
Yeah.
And if you go 4 or 5 trips without a bucket and they get 3 or 4 threes,
it's 10 points.
It goes quick.
Real quick.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. They're back alive. One thing I wanted to ask you about, because it's pretty clear that this is not just it's a real thing. It is not just, I mean, it's a small sample size because it's just that we'll just use the Eastern Conference playoffs as an example. What has happened to home court advantage?
I don't have a real answer for you.
Because it's not like the crowds are indifferent. The crowds are not. It isn't like COVID. No, the crowds are very partisan. You have raucous atmospheres. The Knicks, if I'm not mistaken, are 6-1 on the road in the playoffs, and they are not nearly as good at home. That series, the road team has won the first 3 games.
First 3 games, yeah.
And you go back to us and the Pacers. Our only win came on the road. They won 3 times here.
You ask a question I don't have an answer to, but I'm going to hypothesize.
Okay.
Part of it I do think is the 3-point shot, because there's not all of their offenses is built on jump shooting. Like there isn't in the old days, like, all right, let's get a stop, let's hunker down, play some defense, or we're going to go to our big and we're going to get a post up action and get an easy 2. They really don't play that way. So that's.
But even to that point, though, shouldn't there be a comfort in shooting in your gym, your floor? You know those floorboards. You know it like the depth perception is different in every state.
Okay, you just hit on something where I was going next when you said floorboards. I think all these surfaces are perfect. I think all these rims are perfect. You know, I wonder if home court or home field advantage was something in the old days when you were staying in like a standard hotel room and you're going into like Boston Garden and Red Auerbach and turn your locker room up to 105-degree temperature, and there really was a home court advantage. And maybe there's not. Maybe you're staying at a Ritz-Carlton everywhere. You're staying at a Four Seasons. You're staying at a JW Marriott. You got a suite. Like, is it that different? It's not your bed, but it's pretty damn good. You have it to yourself. Like, what is uncomfortable about being on the road anymore? The locker rooms are probably great. There's probably some sort of ruling with the CBA where you can't do what they used to do. I mean, there are stories. You ask, like, Buckeye players used to go to Iowa to play, and one thing that Hayden Fry, the locker room was pink. The Iowa head coach painted the opposing locker room pink, and they got rid of the dividers on the bathrooms. So if you're going to drop one, you did it in front of everybody. It was the same place. So like lockers, toilets, commodes, no doors, no walls.
Yeah.
So like they made you uncomfortable on the road. And maybe there isn't that much uncomfortable about the road anymore.
Agree. I just think there's something.
That's the best I can do.
The sight lines are different. The sight lines are different. The depth perception's different.
But are they? Maybe they're not. Maybe these things all kind of look the same when you're in them. Is it that much different shooting in Rocket Mortgage versus Gainbridge, whatever it is in Indy? Is it kind of the same? You know, they used to make these things so different. Now they're all pretty cookie cutter. There's not a whole lot of difference.
Well, obviously, to your point about the surfaces, now that they have the surfaces that they can, you saw that one that was that Scottie Pippen where they can just change the color of the whole surface instantly.
Right.
They're like video boards. It's not like a hardwood floor anymore, is it?
No, I think it still is.
But how are they able to do that?
I'm not sure I've seen what you're talking about. I've seen them, like they have a whole nother court that they bring on, but I think it's all still hardwood.
If I may,
Go ahead,
did
Kev.
see that, Z, and that floor is not floorboards. That's some sort of like synthetic thing that they think would probably still work with the basketball, but
that's not in
had
use
questions
yet.
About that. That's not in use. No,
that's
but
coming.
There's
Okay.
been,
But they are able
there's
to
been
do all the
video of it
graphics all
behind
over
the scenes.
Yeah, and they obviously have, you know, because they have the team. What do they call those City Connect floors that they bring in? Yeah, so I think the floors are they're all the same. They're uniform. It's not like the old days with like, you know, you go play to Chicago Stadium and there's boards that have been there for 22 years and they're all different. I think everything's just perfect now all the time. That's my theory on it. It's just everything's gotten more comfortable, so it's not that big. And then the other thing is, and this you played your sports, you're competitive. Like, there's a little juice with playing on the road.
For sure, and the us against them and all of that, but
it's gone though. There's no question.
The other thing is these comebacks that are happening
so that's
on the
3.
road.
I think that's the 3. I think that's all the 3-point shot. I think it's so relied upon. You miss some, they make some. It's such a huge swing. They take so many threes. You go cold for 4 or 5 minutes, and it flips.
It does. It just
I think it's the 3. I think that's that's my theory on that one anyway. But yeah, those have been good. And now that the Knicks won, you got yourself a series on your hands. A couple other things. Did you see your boy Flag Football Jones?
Yeah. So here he is.
He's back.
Daryl Doucette.
Oh baby.
By the way, I don't disagree with him.
Okay, can I say this to you?
You can say whatever you want.
I find him to be reprehensible.
Me too.
And I think he might be right.
Yes.
I feel bad for him.
Yes. That's why they need a team. That's why we need to be the czars. They need a team because how great would it be for Flag Football Jones if he goes out there and they win the gold? Like, here's the thing that's unfortunate for them is they kind of have popularized the sport to the point where they want it to be an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
They should win the gold. They're being robbed of an opportunity to ever win a gold medal. My guess is with the NFL players. Now, they're the only ones who I believe have any chance of beating the NFL players. So I want to see it. They need to be in the Olympics. If they're not in the Olympics, it is a total travesty. There's a reason why the Americans can't have two teams, and one will be an NFL team and one will be this guy.
You can do whatever you want. It's the Olympics. You can make whatever rules you want. It's all made
Doucette
for
needs
TV.
a team.
I agree with you, and I think I feel very bad for them in the sense of this is all he does, and this is what you've been waiting for. Now it's gone, so that part sucks.
I liken it to, and it's not quite like this because there's certainly more athleticism involved, but let's just say that like those guys, you've ever thrown on the Ocho late at night, you can scroll around and you see like the World Mini Golf Championships.
Yeah. Long drive guys maybe even would be another example of this.
And then they're like, no, we want tour guys to do it.
Yeah.
Like, no, these guys are the guys. By the way, the tour guys couldn't hit it like the long drive guys. That's for sure. But the mini golf guys, these guys are so good at it. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, we're going to have Tiger, Prime Tiger and all these other guys do it. And I'm sure they can pick it up. That's our whole thesis, right, is they can pick it up. Let's see it, though. Let's see it. Let's see if it really is that easy because it is a different game.
There's no question.
Running and knowing, like that guy, Flag Football Jones, he has moves to make his flags. He knows how to make his flags come up if somebody's coming from behind or to make them spin around, whatever it is.
I saw the
video.
Yeah.
They don't. NFL players aren't worried about getting their flags pulled or all the different moves they can make. Now, they're going to be inherently just gifted at the game of football, but he needs a team.
So
he needs a team.
He does. I feel for him. This was put in this is put in the Olympics. I'm sure the NFL had a big part of it because the NFL wants to grow the game, and I'm sure they're viewing the 2028 LA games the way that the NBA viewed the 1992 Dream Team, which is we're going to show you what our best is, and we're hoping it'll inspire a generation of fans, and the Dream Team did. And so what you're going to say, this is the best we can do, and will this inspire football to be played in more parts of the world than it currently is played? And in order to do that, you need to see Mahomes passing to Chase and Jefferson and all of that.
Sure.
This guy... So I was watching the video, the highlight video. Did you see his highlight video?
Yeah.
Okay. What he does, like from a movement standpoint, hip standpoint, all that, to your point of like making flags lift, all of that, it's unbelievable. The way he throws a football is not in any way the same as the way that an NFL quarterback would.
Of course
and
not.
One of the plays on his highlight is like it's just a go. It's a seam go route where his guy's running away from a defender. The guy who's trying to defend him looked a lot like Arn Anderson.
Double A.
So, like, that ain't Denzel Ward.
No.
And so that's the thing is, like, he's great, but it's the different. I do think that, like, he does deserve it, though, and I think it's very simple to say, hey, we're going to have two teams. I don't think it's that hard.
And by the way,
you can do whatever you want in the Olympics.
My guess
all of a sudden,
is,
we let golfers in the Olympics.
Yes. My guess is that they will be in the gold medal game.
100%. They're the best in the world at it. Now, what I'd be curious is...
That's why they can't get booted.
They can't. And what I think would be curious is who's on the NFL team and how seriously do they take it? Because I do think, to your point last week, if we just say, we'll show up, we're fine, and you play Flag Football Jones and they got all their plans and schemes and all the trick stuff, if you watch that highlight thing that's going around, it's a lot of trick stuff and misdirection and pass backs and it's a lot of that. And so, like, if you're not ready for that stuff, if you just go out there and go, I think it could be very, very interesting.
The other thing, too, is
But he's 5'7", 140, to be fair.
Flag football is such a... I would just worry about sending the guys, like, all the jump cuts and, like, knees. It just makes me... sending NFL players... If Daryl Doucette should get every opportunity to represent Team USA and win the gold. And then if you want to add in NFL players in another year, that's fine. But let them have the shot.
But the reason they're not going to do that is because watching Flag Football Jones play Flag Football is not going to inspire.
Well, now, that's why he needs a team. There need to be two U.S. teams, and one of them has to be Flag Football Jones's team.
Now that I don't have a problem with.
It has to be.
Yeah, because he drives me nuts, and I also feel for him. It's rare that happens.
But what if they, like, to me, the most fun thing that you could watch in this Olympics in flag football is not our guys body bag in the rest of the world. It's can Daryl Doucette beat Mahomes like he said he would on Twitter?
Yeah, that's it
for the gold medal.
That's what I want to see.
The pressure on the pros, immense.
Is that a situation where there's no gain for the pro there? There's no win?
It's similar, but there is a win to win.
Yeah, and then you get the gold medal as part of it.
Yeah, but
be a lot of pressure, dude.
And they're going to pull out things that
I'll tell you this. Flag football Jones, he'd be running his yap if it goes like NBC, me and Bootsy versus NBC and Beamsy, running his mouth. Same thing.
They're going to do things that these guys haven't seen.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Yeah, the trick. Watch the video, folks. You'll see it. All right, take a quick timeout. Couple news around the NFL, including what the Falcons are planning to do at the quarterback position behind Penix. We'll get to those details for you coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Single game tickets on sale now. Secure your seats today for the top matchups at Huntington Bank Field during the 2025 season. Don't wait. Head to Browns.com/tickets now for more on that. A couple of things around the sports world. Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins is not in attendance for the start of OTAs in Atlanta. There's no real path for him, if not Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh doesn't get Rodgers, that's it. Otherwise, and you said this. We were adamant about this. Why would they pay him to not play for them? If you're Arthur Blank, he's the perfect insurance policy.
And supposedly they're not even picking up any – they're not willing to pay a portion of his salary to facilitate a trade. So
yeah, I just never understood that at all. Why they would pay him to play somewhere else when they've got an injury prone 26-year-old in a division that's very winnable.
Yeah,
if something happens to Penix, Cousins is the perfect insurance policy.
I couldn't agree more.
I'm sorry you're not the starter, pal, but you're still an employee here. We pay you $50 million.
Yeah, that's the thanks.
That's what the money's for.
That's what the money's for.
Also,
I'll trade with.
I'll
Kirk
be
Cousins.
happy to. Yeah, the Colts
I'd
are
have
going
a heck of a time in practice too.
Oh, you'd have the time of your life. The Colts will wear a patch on their jerseys this season in the honor of late owner Jim Irsay. It will feature Irsay's initials and signature on it. So it sounds like his 3 daughters are ready to take over from there in terms of the Indianapolis Colts. And there you go. One thing that was kind of cool about him is you start to hear about all the things that he did that nobody knew of, like picking up hospital bills and all of this stuff that he did around Indianapolis that nobody ever knew about.
He was obviously had his demons.
Yeah.
Was one of the great collectors of all time in terms of.
He's got the Hendrix guitar, the Cobain guitar.
And it sounds like it was incredibly generous. So, yeah, it's a big loss. He was always kind of,
What do you remember when we had the joint practices with him? Was he around?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Pretty omnipresent?
Yeah.
I didn't make that trip over there, so I never saw if he was someone who was
That's when McAfee's show was McAfee sitting at a plastic table right next to us. For real.
Was it just on YouTube?
I don't even know where it was. They were under some tent in India. I don't know if it was YouTube, radio. I didn't see there was not an elaborate camera setup. There were not just lights. It was just, yeah.
I remember when he did that, I thought it was like one of the biggest bets on yourself of all time.
It's incredible.
Just crushed it.
Yeah,
but just like the idea of I'm going to give up my guaranteed NFL money, and he was still great. I'm going to give it a run at this. We're like, really?
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't even know what he was doing.
Yeah. And look at him now.
Look at him now. It's all worked. If a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. All right, there you go, kids.
That's a show.
There you go. Hey, enjoy it down there.
Still don't know where I'm going, but
Someone's going to let you know.
I hope so. It feels like
If not, I'll see you here. Me and Gerard will be here to cover you on OTAs. Enjoy it down there. It's a really, really cool place. And we'll have all the OTA action for you tomorrow on the program with media being allowed in. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, buddy. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.